All right, let's jump right in. Today, we're going to pull back the curtain on a piece of tech that, honestly, most of us use every single day without even thinking about it, Microsoft Entra ID. You can think of it as the ultimate gatekeeper for all your work, apps, and data. So how does this thing actually work?
I mean, just stop and think about it for a second. How does a big company, or even a medium-sized one, keep track of everything? You've got people on their laptops, their phones, working from home, the coffee shop, you name it. And they all need to get into dozens of different apps. So the big question is, how on earth do you manage who gets into what and do it all securely?
Well, the solution isn't to hand out 100 different keys for 100 different doors. That would be a nightmare. No, the smart way to do it is to have one single central system, kind of like a digital master key, a central hub that knows exactly who you are, what you're supposed to have access to, and gets you in without any fuss.
And this diagram? It shows that idea perfectly. Microsoft Entra ID is that central checkpoint, sitting right in the middle of everything. It's the thing that connects you on your device to all the stuff you need to do your job, whether it's an internal company app, something in the cloud like Office 365, or even apps from other companies you work with. It is the single gateway.
So let's get official for a second. What is Microsoft Entra ID? Well, it's a cloud-based identity and access management service. Big words, I know. But all it really means is that when you sign into your work account, Entra ID is the bouncer at the door. It checks your ID, confirms you are who you say you are, and then unlocks all the doors to the apps and resources you're actually allowed to use.
Okay, so to really dig into this, we need to get some of the lingo down. There are a couple of key terms that you'll hear all the time, so let's make sure we're on the same page.
First up, tenant. Now, the best way to think about this is to picture a huge apartment building in the cloud. A tenant is your company's own private apartment in that building. It's completely sealed off, totally isolated from everyone else. This is where all your company's stuff lives. Your users, your data, your security rules, everything.
Okay, so now that we're inside your company's private apartment, your tenant, we find something called a directory. The directory is basically the database. It's the master list, the address book, the catalog, whatever you want to call it. It holds all the specific objects, like every single user, every group, every app. All the details are in the directory.
So here's the key takeaway, right? If the tenant is the entire house, the directory is the address book sitting on the table inside. Now, here's a little insider tip. You're going to hear people use tenant and directory interchangeably. And honestly, for most conversations, that's totally fine. They're so closely linked. A tenant has one directory that it's easy to see why they get blended together.
All right, we've got the lingo down. Let's move on to something really practical, security. Because security shouldn't just be a vague feeling of, yeah, I think we're safe. It needs to be something you can actually measure. And that's exactly where the Identities Secure Score comes in.
I mean, think about it. What if you could get a real-time grade, like a report card, for your organization's security? Something that tells you exactly how you're doing, right now. No guesswork, just a straight-up data-driven score.
Okay, look at this, 16.18%. What does that even mean? Is that good? Is that bad? Out of context, a number like this is pretty much useless. But put it in the right context, and it becomes a really powerful tool.
And this is the context. This dashboard is the report card I was talking about. That percentage tells you exactly how well your company's security stacks up against Microsoft's best practices. But here's the best part. It's not just a grade. It actually gives you a to-do list. It'll say things like, hey, you should require multi-factor authentication for your admins. And it even tells you how many points your score will go up if you do it. It's security that's actually actionable.
So we know what it is, we know how you can measure its security, but who's actually using Entra ID? Let's talk about the actual people who are interacting with this system on a daily basis.
You can really break it down into three main groups of people. First, you've got the IT admins. They're the ones driving the bus. Then, you have the developers who are building the apps that connect to it. And finally, you've got the subscribers. And let's be real, that's most of us, using it every day, probably without even knowing it.
So for an IT admin, Entra ID is basically their mission control. It's where they decide who gets access to what, where they set up crucial stuff like multi-factor authentication. For developers, it's like a powerful toolkit. It lets them easily plug single sign-on into their apps, which is why you don't need a million different passwords. And for us, the subscribers, well, if you use Microsoft 365, Azure, or Dynamics 365, you're already using Entra ID. It's the engine running under the hood every time you log in.
When you boil it all down, it comes back to this one simple idea. making it easier for organizations to manage who gets access to what. It's about having one single identity system to cut through all the chaos and create a clear, secure path for everyone.
Which kind of leaves us with a big question to think about, right? In a world where our digital lives are scattered across hundreds of different apps and services, is having a single, unified, secure identity the most important key we have to our digital kingdom?